earning 3 lakh a day while running 2 businesses. Vian was an ordinary man living in an ordinary part of the city. He didn't come from a rich family. His parents were hardworking but simple people. His father worked as a clerk in the government office and his mother stayed home, managing the family. Money was always tight. They had enough to survive but never enough to dream big. Whenever Vihan wanted something expensive as a child, a bicycle, a better cricket bat, or even a new backpack, the answer was usually, "Not now, Vihan, maybe later." From a young age, he learned what later meant. It often meant never. But that didn't make him bitter. If anything, it made him more determined. He often told himself, "One day, I will not just earn for survival. I will earn so much that my family will never have to think twice before buying anything." While most of his friends spent time playing games, Vihan spent hours delivering shopkeepers of market. He noticed how vegetable vendor spoke politely to attract customers, how the electronic shop owners gave discount but still made profit, and how a small tea stall owner managed to sell hundreds of cups a day. One day, while walking home, Vihan thought, if these people can run their small business and live decently, what if I starting something of my own? That thought didn't go away. After finishing his college degree in commerce, Vihan started a small job at local marketing agency. The salary was barely enough to cover his personal expense, but the job gave him one important thing, and that was knowledge. He learned about the customer behavior, sales strategy, and how small changes in marketing could bring big profit. One day, while working late, he overheard his boss talking to a supplier about the product that was high in demand but short supplied in the market: customized notebook. Schools and colleges were ordering them in bulk and the profits were good. That night, Vihan couldn't sleep. Customized notebook. I can sell them. I know printing shop and I know how to talk to schools. This could be my chance. Vihan had no saving to start the business. He needed at least 50,000. That was a huge amount for him. His parents didn't have that kind of money to spare, but he didn't give up. For 2 weeks, he met friends, distant relatives, and his old college teacher, explaining his business idea and asking them for small loans. Most people politely refused, some laughed, and few believed in him and gave small amounts like 5,000, or one friend gave him 10,000 and a cousin gave him 15,000. Finally, he collected enough money to start. Vian named his business Note Plus Creation. He printed sample notebooks with attractive design and his company logo. Then he visited schools one by one in the scoring heat, carrying a heavy backpack full of samples. Most schools rejected him. Some said they already had suppliers, and others weren't interested in trying something new. Every rejection felt like a punch in the chest, but Vihan kept going. He believed that one yes could change everything. After 3 weeks, a small private school agreed to place order of 500 notebooks. The profit from that one order wasn't huge, but it gave him hope. Over the 6 months, Vihan worked harder than ever. He woke up at 5 a.m., printed design, packed order, and made delivers himself. Slowly, Note Plus Creation getting started more orders. By the end of the year, he was making enough to quit his marketing agency job and fully focus on the business. His parents were proud, but they still worried about stability. After all, the business world is unpredictable. One evening, Vian met an old college friend, Raghav, who was now running a small cafe in business part of the city. The cafe wasn't fancy, but it always crowded. Raghav said, "Bro, the food business is crazy. People eat out every day. My sales are growing, but I don't have enough capital to expand. If you invest, we can open another cafe." Vian's first reaction was to say no. He already was busy in the Note Plus Creation. But that night, he couldn't stop thinking about it. He thought, what if I run the cafe and the notebook business at the same time? Double income, double growth. It sounded exciting, but it was also dangerous. After the days of thinking, Vihan agreed with the partner of Raghav. He invested most of his savings from the notebook business into the new cafe. The location was perfect, near an IT park with thousands of potential customers. They named it Brew and Bite. The idea was simple, affordable, but delicious coffee, sandwiches, and snacks for office workers. From the first day of running both businesses, Vihan's life turned upside down. Morning, he would visit printing suppliers for Note Plus creation. Afternoon, he would be at Brew and Bite, checking stock, talking to customers, and fixing small issues. Evening, he would deliver notebooks and meet new school for client. Night, he would sit with Raghav to count the day's cafe sales and plan the next day. There were days when he forgot to eat lunch, night when he slept only 3 to 4 hours, his phone never stopped ringing. A school complaining about the late delivery, a cafe worker saying the coffee machine was broken, a supplier asking for payment. At first, Vihan enjoyed the adrenaline, but soon problems started piling up. One of the cafe workers quit without notice. A notebook got a notebook order got delayed because of printing machine breakdown. The cafe rent increased. A big school client moved to another supplier. Vihan started feeling trapped. He was working non-stop but not seeing the kind of profit he imagined. One night, Vihan sat in the cafe after closing, staring at the empty tables. He felt exhausted. His phone buzzed. It with a school principal complaining about the long delivery. He wanted to scream. For the first time, he thought about maybe I made a mistake for taking two business in my hand. Maybe I should shut one of the before everyone I think lose. Just when he was losing hope, something happened. A corporate client visited Brew and Bite for coffee. They loved the food and asked if the cafe could handle daily lunch category for 200 employees. It was huge opportunity, but it was with a huge risk. Accepting it with accepting it would mean more workload, more pressure, and more investment equipment. Vihan didn't say yes immediately. He went home, lay in bed, and thought about everything he had gone through. The rejections, the long days, the sleepless night. Then he told to himself, I didn't come this far to give up. I will handle both businesses no matter what it takes. The corporate catering deal was like a double-edged sword. If successful, it could bring steady income and increase Blues and Bites' reputation. If it failed, it could destroy both the cafes and Vihan's saving. That night, Vihan sat at his small wooden desk at home, surrounded by bills, receipts, and notebook full of calculation. His parents had already gone to bed. The silence in the house made his thoughts more louder. He said, if I say yes, I will need new kitchen equipment, more staffs, more deliveries. That means more money upfront. Where I will get it from? And what about the Note Plus creation? I can't ignore my first business. But then another thought hit him. Opportunities like this don't come twice. If I say no, I will regret it forever. By 2 a.m., he had made his decision. He texted Raghav, we are taking this deal. Let's meet early tomorrow. Preparing for battle. The next morning, Vihan and Raghav met at a cafe before sunrise. They made a list of everything what they would need. 2 more stoves, a bigger refrigerator, food containers for daily delivery, 2 delivery boys with scooters, more raw materials and storage space. When they added up the cost, the total came nearly 1.8 lakhs. It was more than they had in the bank. Raghav looked worried. Vihan, are you sure? We are already stretching ourselves thin. Vihan nodded. We will manage. It will take short-term business loan if needed. We cannot let this deal slip away. The first week of catering deal was pure madness. The corporate office needed lunch by 12:30 p.m. sharp every day. That meant starting cooking by 6 a.m., ensuring everything was fresh, packed, and sent out on time. Vian daily schedule now looked like this: 5 a.m. wake up, check cafe supplies. 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. help preparing catering orders. 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. supervise packing and deliveries. 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. manage note plus creation, delivering and client meeting. 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. back to the cafe for evening rush. 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. business accounting and planning for the next day. Sleep. It was just barely 4 hours. While Vihan was busy with the cafe scattering work, note plus creation began to suffer. He missed few client calls and deliveries got delayed. One big school client warned him, if this happened again, we will switch to another suppliers. Vian realized he was in danger territory. If he lost his first business, the cafe alone might not enough to cover all the debts. On the 10th day of the catering deal, disaster struck. One of the delivery boys met with an accident on his way to the corporate office. Thankfully, he wasn't badly hurt, but the food was carrying was ruined. By the time Vihan arranged for another delivery, the lunch reached an hour late. The corporate HR was furious. We signed this deal for punctual service. One more mistake like this and the contract is over. Vihan apologized again and again, but the warning shook him. He knew one more failure could destroy his reputation. Determined to not to fail, Vihan made a bold move. He hired an assistant for note plus creation to handle small orders and deliveries. While he focused more on the cafe, it meant spending more money on the salaries, but he had no choice. Every day felt he was standing at a tight rope, no wrong step, and everything would be crashing down. At home, things weren't easy. Vian's parents noticed how tired he looked and how rarely he ate dinner with them. His mother said, "Son, you're burning yourself out. Money is important, but your health is more important." Vian smiled faintly and replied, "Mama, I promise I will slow down once both businesses are stable. Just a little more time." But deep down, he knew a little more time could mean year. Even though the catering deal brought in a good revenue, the upfront cost for equipment, extra stuff, and loan repayments meant there was very little profit left in the early months. Meanwhile, the notebook business was facing late payments from clients. Some nights, Vihan would open his accounting book, see the small numbers in the profit column, and feel his stomach sink. "I am working like a machine. Where is the reward?" One afternoon, while delivering notebook to a school, Vihan met a teacher who also worked as a part-time event organizer. She mentioned that a local college did 3,000 customized notebooks for their annual festival and they were willing to pay extra for urgent deliveries. It was a huge order, but the deadline was insane. Just 10 days. If it took it, he would have to manage this massive printing job while still running the catering deal with the cafe operation. For most people, it would have been impossible, but for Vihan, it was a challenge he couldn't ignore. The next 10 days were मम्मा प्लीज मम्मा समझो ना बात को क्या यार. The next 10 days were some of the toughest in Vihan's life. His mornings were still spent in the cafe kitchen making sure catering went smoothly. Afternoons and late night were for note plus creation, designing, printing, binding and packing thousands of books. He barely slept 3 hours a night. His hand hurt from lifting boxes. His eyes burned from staring at design on the computer. At a point, he even fell asleep, sitting in a chair while waiting for the batch of notebook to finish printing. On the final day, Vihan personally delivered all the 3,000 notebooks to the college. The organizers were amazed that he met the impossible deadline. They paid him in full, and the profit from that one deal was enough to cover his assistant's salary for the 2 months and clear a chunk of a cafe's loan. For the first time in months, Vihan allowed himself to smile with relief. Even with his win, the challenges kept coming. 1 week later, the cafe's main coffee machine broke down in the middle of evening rush. Repairing it was the cost of 35,000, money he had planned to use for printing materials. And just when he thought things couldn't get worse, Raghav dropped a bombshell. Vihan, I am getting married and moving to another city. I can't manage the cafe anymore. You have to take it full overly. Vihan froze, running the cafe alone while still managing the Note Plus creation. It felt impossible, but he knew also quitting wasn't an option. The conference room door closed softly behind Sunil. He walked into the hallway. His mind was still thinking about the meeting he had just finished. His hands were calmed down, but inside he still felt the rush of excitement. He had won, at least for now. The deal was signed, the paper was stamped, the handshake with the client still felt the warmth in his hand. But Sunil knew this was only the first step for the much bigger challenge. He walked down of the shiny corridor of the office building. In the glass walls, he saw his reflection. His shirt was little wrinked. There was a small dark circles under his eyes, and on his jaw he could see the small scars from a cricket match many years ago. That scar reminded him of something important. Every victory leaves a mark. When he stepped out of the street, the city was alive. Cars and rickshaw horned, and the smell of frying snacks came from the tea stalls. A street seller shouted his prices. It all felt similar to Sunil. He was not some big, untouchable businessman. He was still Sunil, the boy who once sold newspaper near Mahalakshmi station. But now things were different, and it was very different. The deal he had just closed was more than extra money. It was the door opening into the new business world. In that world, there was big opportunity, but also big danger, bigger player, bigger risk. And Sunil knew that if he was not careful, the big fish in the sea could easily eat him. Sunil took out his phone. He called Ramesh, his best friend and the partner in the business. Ramesh picked up call quickly. Ramesh said, "Say Sunil, how did it go?" "It's done," Sunil said simply. There was silence for the second. Then Ramesh's voice became loud and happy. "Wow, I told you this deal will be change our game." Sunil smiled. "Yes, but Ramesh, this is just a beginning. Now the real game start." That evening, Sunil sat alone in his small office. The sun was setting outside, making the sky orange, but Sunil's eyes were on the papers in front of him. Earring, contracts, competitors list, etc. One thing caught his attention was the most, the deadline. The new client wanted the first shipment in 45 days. Only 45 days. That meant all suppliers, transport and factory worked hard to be perfect. Sunil leaned back in his chair and rubbed his forehead. He knew the truth. In the business, as a win, not a time to relax. It was a sign to work even harder. The next morning, Sunil reached the factory at 6 a.m. The air smelled of paint and oil from the machines. The workers were surprised to see him so early, but Sunil wanted to show them that he is ready to work hard. "Friends," he said, "this order is the biggest we have ever got. If we do well, our future will change. If we fail, there will be no second chance." The workers listened carefully. Some looked excited, some looked nervous. One young worker, Rahul, raised his hand. "Sir, is this new material supplied confirmed?" Sunil said, "Yes, but they need advance payment. We will arrange it. Even if I had to sell my scooter, we will not miss the deadline." The workers nodded. They could feel the Sunil's energy. When the people believe in the mission, they can do amazing things. For the next for the next 2 weeks, life was busy. Trucks came in and went out all the day. Machines made noise until late night. Sunil hardly slept. He was everywhere, checking the quality of the workshop, negotiating with the transport people, even bringing tea for the tire workers at the night. But as the deadline came closer, problem began. That evening, Ramesh entered Sunil's office quickly. There was a worried face. Sunil looked serious. What happened? Our main steel supplier, their shipment, stuck at the port. Custom issues. They say it will take 2 weeks to clear. 2 weeks! Sunil's stomach felt tight. That would destroy the schedule. What are the options? Sunil asked. Either we wait or miss the deadline, or we buy from the local supplier, but the local prices are much higher. Sunil stood up and walked around the room. This was the real test of a leader. Not when the things go right, but when the things go wrong. He stopped and looked at Ramesh. We will buy local, but don't care of extra cost. We will deliver on time. Ramesh nodded. I will start calling them now. The local supplier agreed, but they want full payment before delivery. This meant Sunil had to take a big risk. He almost all the company's emergencies money. It was dangerous, but he didn't think twice. Sometimes risk was the only way forward. Day and night, the team worked. Sunil worked with them. His hands got cut and blisters. Finally, the last shipment was ready. They loaded into the truck. No one cheered. Everyone was too tired, but there was a quiet feeling of pride. Sunil stood at the gate as the truck left. He felt tired but calm. They had done it against all the problems they have faces, but they have also delivered. Later, the client sent the feedback by email. Sunil opened it slowly. We are happy with the quality and delivery. We look forward to working with you for a long time. Sunil smiled. This was more than one deal. It was a partnership. And in business, partnerships are worth more than a single payment. But Sunil also knew something else. Competitors were watching him now. People in the market were talking. Who is Sunil? Who delivered such a big order so fast? Some admired him. Some saw him as a danger. One evening, as he left his office, a black car stopped near him. The window came down. A man in a sharp suit looked at him. Mr. Sunil? Sunil said yes. I work from someone important. He wants to meet you. It's a business proposal. Sunil looked at Smile. It felt like there was an opportunity but also danger. He knew that next step could change everything. This man, Mr. Verma, finished speaking. His voice was calm, but his words carried weight. Sunil, I have been watching your company for the past year. The way you are grown is impressive, but I believe you can multiply your revenue if you are willing to take risk. Sunil's heart beat faster. In business, risk was a word he had learned to respect. Sometimes it brought reward, sometimes it brought disaster. Ramesh leaned forward and said, Mr. Verma, what kind of risk are we taking about? Mr. Verma took a sip of water and told, I have connections in the Middle East. There's a huge demand for fast, reliable, last-minute delivery services for online stores. You have the infrastructure in India, but if you can set up in a branch in Dubai and you can dominate the market there, your profits could be 5 times what you are making now. Sunil sat back, stunned. Dubai and international expansion. This was not a small step, it was a leap. Sunil had spent the last 4 years building his delivery company from scratch. From one broken van to flat 50 vehicles, they were fully stable, making consistent profit. But Dubai, that meant setting up an office abroad, hiring and training new staff, understanding new regulation, facing a whole new set of competitors. The reward was tempting, but the risk of failure was equally huge. After the meeting, Ramesh pulled Sunil aside. Brother, this is massive. If it works, you will be in a league of your own. But if it doesn't, the loss could wipe us out. Sunil knew Ramesh was right, but something inside him was whispered. Opportunities like this don't come twice. After a week of sleepless night, Sunil decided to at least explore the idea. He booked tickets to Dubai and took Ramesh along. When they landed, the heat hit them like a wave. Skyscrapers stood like giants and luxury cars zipped past. Dubai was fast paced, rich, and competitive. They spent days meeting with potential partners, landlords, and suppliers. The costs were high. The rent for the small office were equal to the rent of the Indian headquarters. One evening, as they sat in the small cafe, Ramesh said, Sunil, this is going to drain a lot of cash. If we do this, we will have to slow down the expansion in India. Sunil just take a sip of tea in a deep thought. I know, but imagine if it works, we could become the first Indian origin to deliver brand to dominate here. While they were away, trouble was brewing in India. One of their biggest clients, an e-commerce startup, suddenly cancelled their contract. They claimed Sunil company had been late too many deliveries. When Sunil's operation manager called, his voice was tense. Sir, if we lose them, our monthly revenue will drop by 15%. Sunil was very much tense. He couldn't afford to lose focus in India while chasing a dream of abroad. The next day, he cut his Dubai trip short and flew back to India. His priority was now to win back the client. Sunil requested to face-to-face meeting with e-commerce CEO. He didn't send emails or text. He knew some situation required for looking in eye to eye. When he entered the CEO office, the man looked cold. Sunil, your delivery times has been slipping. Our customers are complaining. Sunil didn't argue. He took responsibility. You are right, sir. I was abroad setting up on something new, but I should have been kept tighter grip here. Give me 30 days. If deliver time doesn't improve, you can walk away, no questions asked. The CEO hesitated, then agreed. For the next month, Sunil became almost obsessed. He visited warehouses at 5 a.m., rode his delivery boys, personally handled route planning, and solved every small bottleneck. Within 3 weeks, delivery times improved by 40%. The CEO not only stayed but gave Sunil more routes to handle. With India back on track, Sunil turned his mind back into the Dubai. Mr. Verma was waiting for an answer. Sunil and Ramesh sat in the office late at night looking at spreadsheets. Brother, if we invest in Dubai, we have to pull 2 crore from our reserves, Ramesh said. That's almost everything we have saved from emergency. Sunil tapped his finger on the desk. What if we took for investors? That way, we shared that risk. It wasn't easy, but after weeks of pitching, Sunil found 2 angel investors willing to fund 40% of the project. The rest he covered from the company's saving. The Dubai office launched quietly, but within 2 months, demand exploded. Sunil company was delivering for high-end fashion stores, tech shops, and even luxury brands. But success abroad meant chaos at home. His Indian team felt neglected again. Manager complained about delayed decision. Staff turnover increased. Sunil was now splitting his life. 1 week in India, the next week in Dubai. The stress began to show. He lost weight, slept only 4 to 5 hours, and barely saw his family. The breaking point came when Sunil missed his daughter's school function. He had promised to be there, but at last-minute crisis in Dubai kept him away. That night, his wife said quietly, Sunil, you have built an empire, but you are losing your home. The words hit harder than any financial loss. Sunil spent the night thinking. he realized that true success meant balance, not just growth. He made a bold decision: appoint a strong CEO for Dubai operation so he could focus more on India and family. It wasn't easy to hand over all the control, but it worked. With the competent leader in Dubai, the branch continued to grow without Sunil's daily involvement. In India, he stabilized operation, launched a new employee training program, and even started a profit sharing plan to keep staff motivated. 5 years after starting with one broken van, Sunil now owned a thriving international delivery brand, had over 200 employees, and mostly important, had his life back in balance. At the annual company meeting, he stood on the stage and said, "Success is not just about how high you climb, it's about making you sure your ladder is strong enough to hold you, and everyone is climbing with you." The room was quiet, but after 2 seconds, it applauded. Sunil looked at Ramesh, who smiled and gave a small nod. They both knew the journey had been worth every sleepless night.